So actually one app is getting download. So have you got the textbook? I think I had mailed the textbook to you people. Have you got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just wait for 1 minute. I just find the file. Oh my God. 'Okay, then let me start the presentation. Okay. So share screen. 1 minute. Are you able to see the screen here? Are you able to see the slide?
Yes, sir.
And I think the recording is already started. Yes, the recording is started, or I have to start it. Recording start हुआ है start करना है यार.
It is already started, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. So we had discussed all these things in the previous class, right? We had discussed what is the definition of instrumentation and what is the definition of biomedical instrumentation, and then we had also discussed what is primary purpose of medical instrumentation, and then what is measure and transducers and some other. We have studied what is the basic block diagram of the instrumentation, right? So we had completed all this, and we had also studied what we had also gone through what is in vivo and in vitro. Okay, so today let us start with this. So let us start. What are the general constraints that we need by whenever we are going to design a medical instruments? Okay, but if you are designing any medical instrumentation or maybe any medical instrumentation system, so what are the basic general considerations or constraints that you are going to have while designing? Okay, so you may also call it as design constraints. Okay, 1 minute. So the the two important design constraints that we are going to have here is one will be your measurement range and the other one will be your frequency range. Okay, so what is the measurement range that you need for your instrumentation and what is the frequency range? Because if you are designing a medical instrumentation system, so the frequency will play an important role because you are each and every signal like the EEG may have one frequency range, the EMG may have other frequency range, and the EEG may have and ECG may have other frequency range, right? So each and every system will have their own frequency ranges and their own measurement ranges. So these two are the one of the major parameters that we are going to have. Okay, and coming on to the next. So 1 minute. I think pen is very difficult in here. So if you consider the other constraints, what are the other constraints that we are going to design any medical instruments are the other first constraint that you have having is inaccessibility of signal source. Okay, so that means how much inaccessibility. That means you may get some signals, you may have easy access of some of the signals. Like if you want to calculate the blood pressure, so it is very easy to acquire the blood pressure, right? You may just have to place a you can measure it by seizing any of the valve, right? By seizing any of the artery valve, and then you can calculate the blood pressure easily. But there may be some signals like if you are getting any difficulty in my voice, if you are getting anything not able to listen, then please make me know. Okay, then please make me know. Okay. uh, so the other signals or the other next important constraint that you are going to have here will be interface account with different physiological systems. Okay, so you may have different physiological systems in your body, right? And whenever you are whenever you are trying to acquire signals from one part, like if you are trying to acquire signals from muscle, so you may also have the interference from surrounding tissues. Like if you are having constant, if you want a signal from one tissue, so it is not always you are going to get the signal from that tissue. So the adjacent tissues may also cause some interference. Okay, so this will also one of the constraints that you have to consider whenever you are going to design a medical instrument. Okay, and the next constraint that you are going to have here is high possibility of artifacts. Okay, so whenever you consider instrumentation, that too whenever you are designing an instrument for a medical application, so the artifacts are the one of the important consideration that you have to consider whenever you are designing a medical instrument. Okay, because in most of the tissues, like in whenever you are trying to acquire the signals from your biological tissues, so the artifacts, the possibility of artifacts will be high whenever you are going to come into the art, biological tissues. Okay, so if you are designing any instrument and that too for the medical application, so there may be the high possibility of the artifacts, and this constraint you have to consider whenever you are going to design the medical instrument. Okay, and coming on to the next. So the next important constraint that you need to that we have in your medical instrumentation is safe levels of applied energy. Okay, because we are going to use this instrument for a human subject or for an animal. Okay, so whenever you are going to use that instrument for any one of the subject, so the important issue, okay, the important constraint that you are going to have will be your safe level of applied energy. Okay, that means if you want to acquire signal, like this will be best suitable for your x-rays. Okay, so normally what happens in the x-rays, you may also learn it in your next semester whenever you are going to study your medical imaging subject. So what happens with the x-ray is, so you may get the better image of the bone. Okay, you are going to get the image of the bone, and then whenever you are going to whenever you are going to increase the x-ray intensity. Okay, the intensity at which you are going to pass the x-rays on your body tissue, if you increase that intensity, you may get the best image. But but if you are going to expose your body to high intensity of x-rays, then it may cause cancerous cells. Okay, it may cause or it may also cause the non-tumorous cancer. Okay, it may cause cancer for your body tissues, right? So that is the one of the major constraint in the X-rays. That's the reason why the X-rays will not be applied about one threshold limit. Okay, you are not going to have the intensity about some particular limit. So the reason for that is the safety of the person. Okay, so this will be one of the okay, and patient safety considerations and other last important constraint that you may have whenever you are going to design a medical instrument is the reliability aspect. Okay, it will be in terms of equipment. Okay, that means the equipment that you are going to design, it is not only for the biomedical instruments but also it is for the other many instruments, that whenever you are going to design a instrument, so reliability will be your other constraint that you need to consider. Okay, so these are the different constraints that you are going to have whenever you are going to design your medical instruments. Okay, I again repeating that. So whenever you are going to design a medical instrument, okay, instrumentation system. So the first important constraint that you are going to have will be the measurement range. Other one will be your frequency range. Okay. Apart from them, the other constraint that you are going to have will be one will be your inaccessibility of signal source. So, okay, because it will not be easy accessible for. It will not be accessible each and every signal. It is not easily accessible. So it may be one of the constraints. Another constraint that you are going to have will be your interference between different physiological systems, and then the high possibility of artifacts, and then the safe level of applied energies, and then patient safety and reliability. So all these are the different constraints that you are going to have, or you may consider them as the design constraints in a biomedical instrumentation system. Okay, so have you understood still now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So सो क्या हुआ यार, सो रहे हो क्या इतना डल है सर? वैसे माइक ऑन ऑफ रहता है, समझ में तो आता नहीं है, तुम लोग सो रहे हो, देख रहे हो। ओके, so these are the constraints that you are having in design of the medical instrumentation. So now let us come into the sources of biomedical. Okay, because ultimately in biomedical instrumentation we are going to capture these signals, right? We are going to record these signals, and then whatever we are going to do, we are going to do with these signals, right? You may capture these signals or you may record these signals, right? So before you are going to capture or record the signals, you need to know what are the various sources of this biomedical signal. That means how many types of signals that your body may provide you for measurement. Okay, so how many types of sources of signal that you are going to have from your body. Okay, so um, coming on to that title, let us come into the types. Okay, what are the various types of the signals that you are going to have here? Okay, the first source, the first type of source, biomedical source will be your bioelectric signals. Okay, and this is one of the important source, because whatever you are going, you may, it may be your EEG, it may be your EMG, it may be your ECG. So all these are just your bioelectrical signals. Okay, so bioelectrical signals are one of the important signals that you are going to have, because whatever the EEG, EMG, ECG, whatever you are going to do for a person will be your bioelectric signals. Okay, like your brains, like let us consider your brain. So your brain may have lots of nerves. Okay, and your neural network. So what they will do, they will emit the electric signals, right? So the neural nerve cells in your brain, or the muscle cells. Okay, the muscle cells will also emit the electrical signal, right? So whatever the electrical activity, what are the electrical signals that are emitted by the nerve cells, they are captured by using the EEG, right? And whatever the electrical signals that are emitted by the muscles, they are going to be captured by using EMG. Okay, so EMG, and what are the muscle activities that are going to be emitted by your heart, the heart muscles. Okay, so normally the muscles will be divided into three groups. One will be your cardiac muscles, other one will be your normal skeletal muscles, and other one will be your smooth muscles. Okay, soft muscles. Okay, so the skeletal muscles are nothing but your actual muscles that you are having, like your biceps, triceps, moving your that are useful for your motion. Okay, what are the muscles that are involved in your motion? They are called as skeletal muscles. Okay, so these skeletal muscles will have their own electrical activity, emit the bioelectrical signal. So the skeletal muscles, or you may call it as the muscles. Okay, muscle cells. They emit the electrical signals, and these electrical signals are captured by using EMG. Okay, and then you may have various nerve cells, right? So these nerve cells will also emit the electrical signals. Okay, and these will be captured by using EMG. Okay, so these are the three types of signals. Okay, first source is bioelectrical signals, and these bioelectrical signals are majorly provided by your muscles or your nerve cells. Okay, so coming on to the next 1 minute. Coming on to the next 1 minute. Okay. So the next important signal that you are going to have, the next sources of bioelectrical signal is bioacoustic signals. Okay. The next sources that you are having will be your bioacoustic signals. Okay. These are the sound signals you may call, because electrical signals we had already gone through the bioelectric signals, and the bioelectric signals are generated by your nerve cells and muscle cells. And the next type of biomedical sources of biomedical signals are biosignals are bioacoustic signals. Okay. So what are these bioelectric acoustic signals? Like whenever the blood flows to the heart, it may the heart will have the walls, the heart walls, and the heart walls opens and close. You may get the sound of like heart will also, the opening and closing of the heart walls will produce some sound. Or whenever the air passes through your trachea. Okay, whenever the air passes through your trachea or upper and lower airways, so they may also have some sound. Okay, these sounds are related to your bioacoustic signals. Okay, and then coming on to the other type, that is your biomechanical signal. Okay, so coming on to the biomechanical system signals, so they may have different types of biomechanical signals, right? Okay, actually I think you are not getting the screen, so I think now you are getting the screen here, right? So Method, you are having the various biomechanical signals, right? So like your pressure that you are going to measure when you want to measure the blood pressure, so you are going to capture the blood pressure from your one of the limb, right? You are going to place the cuff on one of the limb, and you are going to increase the pressure there, and then you are capturing the pressure, the blood pressure. Okay, so the blood pressure, movement of chest wall. So whenever you are taking inspiration, expiration, okay, your chest walls will move up and down, right? So the movement of the chest walls will also be in biomechanical signals. Okay. So these are the various bio signals that you are having. Okay. So remember one thing. I may ask this, or I may ask the block diagram in the example. Okay. If you are, I may ask what are the sources of biomedical signals. Okay. What are the sources of biomedical signal? Then you have to explain these three types. Okay. Though the body may emit different types of biomedical signals, right? The body may emit different types of signals, and all these different types of signals which are going to be emitted by different parts of our body or different tissues of our body. Okay, these signals are majorly categorized into three groups. Okay, bioelectric signal, bioacoustic signal, and biomechanical signals. Okay, the bioelectric signals are the electrical activity. Okay, that means the electrical signals that are emitted by the nerve cells, or the electrical signals that are emitted by your muscle cells. So these signals are known as bioelectric signals. Okay, and these signals are majorly used for calculating ECG, EMG, and EEG. In all these different measurement modalities, we are capturing these bioelectric signals, which are emitted by your nerve cells and muscle cells. Okay, and coming on to the next type, that is bioacoustic signal. Okay, whenever you are coming into the bioacoustic signal, that means whatever the that means 1 minute. So whatever the sound signals, that means whenever your heart valves opens and close, so you may get the sound. Or whenever the air passes to our upper and lower airways, so in a line, so you may get the sound. So these signals are your bioacoustic signals. Okay, and coming on to the other type, that is biomechanical signals. So coming on to the biomechanical signals, so like the motions, displacement, like whenever you are walking. Okay, let us consider whenever you are walking. So there may be joint angle variation. Okay, or there may be displacement. Okay, so all these are your mechanical signals, or there may be pressure, and like whenever you are inhaling and exhaling, so your chest walls will move up and down. So all these are biomechanical signals. Okay, so these broadly, so all the different types of your biosignals, bio sources of signals in your body are classified into three different types. Okay, bioelectric, biomechanical, and bioacoustic. Okay, electric means electrical signals which are emitted by nerves or muscle cells. Acoustic means the sound. That means whenever your heart valves opens and close, or whenever the air passes to upper and lower parts of your lungs. So these are the acoustic signals, sources of acoustic signals. And coming on to the mechanical signals, whenever you are walking, so the joint angle or the displacement, and then the increasing on whenever you are stretching your hand, so the muscle will expand in contrast, so that will be your one of the mechanical signal. Or whenever you are inhaling and exhaling, so your chest move up and down, so this may be your mechanical signal. So these are the sources of signals, and we had classified it into three different types. So these three types are going to cover all the different signals that are emitted by your body. Okay, so have you understood still now? क्या तो समझ में आया?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
आ- आवाज में कुछ कर तो नहीं रहा है ना वॉइस?
नहीं सर।
नहीं सर आ रहा।
So these are the, so what we have studied till now. The first thing that we have learned are what are the constraints that you are going to have whenever you are going to design a biomedical instrumentation system, and then what are the sources of signals, and then let us move into the regulations will be there. I will give you standards. You have to just go through the standards. There is nothing to explain in the regulations and standards of biomedical. Okay, so let us move into the other important topic. Okay, so the other important topic that you need to know in your biomedical are bioelectric signals. Oh, that means what is the origin of bioelectric signal? So sometimes you may be asked a question like, what is sodium and potassium pump? Okay, what is sodium potassium pump? The sodium potassium pump means you have to explain this only. What is the origin of bioelectric signals? Okay, so depending upon question, you have to explain that. I may ask you like, what are the origin of bioelectric signals? That means you have to explain this. Or if I ask you what is the sodium potassium pump, then also you have to explain this one. Okay, because when I'm going into the topic, so I will make you learn. Okay, I will explain why it is called sodium potassium pump. Okay, so when I explained you about the sources of biomedical signals, so I have categorized into three groups. One will be bioelectric signal, other one will be your bioacoustic and biomechanical system. Okay, so among these, we need to know how these bioelectric signals have getting originated. Okay, like I had said you at that time that your nerves and muscles are extracting these bioelectric signals, and we are capturing these bioelectric signals, right? So, but you need to know how these bioelectric signals, so how these bioelectric signals are getting extracted from the muscle nerve cells or muscle cells, how they are producing the electric potential there. Okay, so you need to know this. Okay, so this is how. So what you have to know, what is the origin of this bioelectric signal. Okay, so 1 minute. So coming on to the origin of bioelectric signals. Okay, coming on to the origin of bioelectric signals. So normally these bioelectric signals or bioelectric, you may call it as bioelectric potentials. Okay, so you may call it as a bioelectric potentials. So normally these bioelectric potentials are generated at your cellular level. Okay, uh, cellular means that at your cell. Okay, the lowest part, the smallest part of your tissue will be cell, and then group of cells will form tissues, and then your organ, and then organism, and then human being, right? So the smallest part of your body is your cell. Okay, and the origin where these bioelectric signals are going to be generated. So the generation will happen at your cellular level. Okay, and these bioelectric signals or bioelectric potential will get generated there because of ionic nature of these cellular cells. Okay, the cells having some ionic nature, and because of this particular ionic nature of the cells. Okay, so these cells are going to produce your bioelectric signals. Okay, how they are going to produce your bioelectric signals? Have you gone to the cells? अभी आपको explain किया गया anatomy में cells के बारे में.
सर एनाटॉमी का क्लास नहीं हुआ अभी तक।
नहीं, आवाज कट रहा है, क्या बोले?
एनाटॉमी का क्लास अभी तक नहीं हुआ है।
हल्का हल्का कट रहा है सर।
हल्का हल्का बताया है. चलिए ठीक है. So normally whenever you are going to go in the internal structure of the cell, okay, whenever you are going to consider a cell, whenever you take a cell, okay, so normally this particular cell is going to have some layer, okay, at the surrounding, okay. This cell is going to have a semi permeable membrane, okay. What the semi permeable membrane means, किसको पता है सेमी परमेबल मेम्ब्रेन क्या होता है? Anyone knows what is semi permeable membrane?
Yes, sir. It allows certain
Hmm.
particles to pass through them and while restrict other particles.
Okay, yes. Like you are in our purifiers also the RO, okay, reverse osmosis. There also they use it to have some semi-permeable membrane, right? So RO may be semi-permeable membrane lagi रहती है. What it will do? It will pass the one and it will block some of the bacterial minerals, all these things. Okay. So the same, okay, semi-permeable membrane. So this particular like the semi-permeable membrane will be present at the surrounding the tissue. Okay, the outer layer of the tissue the cell. Okay, if you consider a cell, so 1 minute. Am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible? बीच में सिग्नल कट रहा
Yes,
था.
sir.
ऑडिबल हूँ मैं?
Yes, sir. हाँ.
1 minute. What's happening? I think some issue, network issue is coming with me. Okay, so 1 minute. Am I audible now? Am I audible now? सुनाई दे रहा है मेरा आवाज?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
हाँ सर बोलिए.
Okay, so 1 minute. Okay, we are here, right? So what we need to know, so the thing that we need to know is what is the origin of these bioelectric signals. Okay, अगर बीच में आवाज कटेगा तो बता दीजिए, ठीक है, क्योंकि मैं यहाँ स्क्रीन शेयर कर रहा हूँ तो मुझे पता नहीं चलेगा आवाज कट रहा है नहीं कट रहा है, ठीक है. So what we need to do is we need to know from where these bioelectric signals are getting generated or originated. Okay, so the as I said with you that the one of the smallest part of our body will be our cell, and these bioelectric signals are generated at your cellular level. Okay, so at cellular level these bioelectric signals are going to be get generated. Okay, then and that too it gets generated because of the ionic nature of the cell. Okay, and because of the ionic nature these particular bioelectric signals are getting generated. Okay, so as I explained you till now that we are going to have a cell, and this particular cell is going to have some semi permeable membrane around the surrounding. Okay, so the outermost layer of the cell is going to have a semi permeable membrane. So what this semi permeable membrane do, it will allow some of the ions to get will pass and go into the inside of the cell, and it will restrict some of the ions. It will not allow those ions to pass through it. Okay. So because of this semi-permeable nature of this outermost layer of the cell. Okay. So what this semi-permeable layer will do, it will pass, because you are having three types of ions. Okay. Na plus, K plus, and Cl minus. Okay. So you are going to have these three different types. Okay. You are going to Na plus ions, that means sodium ions, potassium ions, and Cl. Okay, chloride. Okay. So okay. So what happens? So whenever you are the cell. Okay. What happened? अरे यार माइक ऑफ कर लो यार कौन है भैया ओके अरे जिसका भी हो माइक ऑफ कर लीजिए ओके सो what happened means, so normally you are going to have sodium, potassium, and chloride. Okay. So whenever your cell get excited, okay, so what happens, the cell, normally the permeable membrane of the cell will allow your K plus and Cl minus to pass through it, and it will restrict the Na plus ions. Okay. It will not allow the Na plus ions to pass through the semi permeable membrane. It will only allow your K plus and Cl minus. Okay. So because of this, as K plus and Cn minus will enter into the cell, and your Na plus ions will be at outside of the cell, so the negative charge will become more inside the cell, and as the Na plus are not getting permitted into the cell, so the Na plus will get accumulated at the outer side of the membrane. Okay. So what happens at outside of the membrane? So outside of the cell, you are having Na plus ions, and inside of the cell, you are going to have K plus and Cl minus ions. Okay. So what happens? So inside of the cell is going to have the negative charge, and outside of the cell is going to have the positive charge. Okay. So initially the cell will be, this particular condition is known as polarization of the cell. Okay. So what happens in the polarization? Whenever the polarization happens, okay, so whatever will be the K plus and Cl minus ions, this will pass through the semi-permeable membrane, and they will enter inside of the cell. But the Na plus ions will not be allowed by the semi-permeable membrane, and because of that, this will be get accumulated at the outside of the cell. Okay, because of this, there may be unequal charge distribution, right? Because you are having a cell, and outside of the cell you are having Na plus ions, right? Because they are not getting allowed inside, and inside you are having negative and uh, chloride. So they are potassium, but the potassium, whenever the potassium and chloride enters into the cell, so the inside of the cell is going to have the negative charge. Okay, the inside of the cell is going to have the negative charge, and the outside of the cell is going to have the positive charge because of the sodium ions. Okay. So there will be unequal charge distribution, so outside will be positive and inside will be negative, right? So this condition is known as uh, polarization. That means the cell is being in polarization stage. Okay. And this voltage, the potential at this time, this potential is known as resting potential. Okay. So this potential, that means whenever the inside of the cell is having negative ions or negative charge, and the outside of the cell is having the positive charge, so the potential difference between outside and inside, whenever you are going to measure the potential of the cell, so you will take the outer potential as a reference potential. Okay. When compared to outer potential, the outer is positive, and the inner of the inside of the cell is a negative charge. So when you are comparing the outer potential with the inner potential, so you are going to get 90 millivolts. Okay. So because we are taking the positive as the reference, when you compare with the outer positive as a reference, so you are getting a negative potential, right? So you are going to have 90 millivolts. Okay. So you are going to have 90 millivolts, and this 90 millivolts is known as your resting potential. Okay. So what is resting potential? So whenever you consider a cell, what happens? This cell, okay, normally what happens, the cell, there will be a cell, and surrounding the cell there is an fluid, right? Cellular fluids. Okay. So the fluids are also having the ions, and the fluid is the best conductor of transmitting the electric charge. Okay. The surrounding to the cell. Okay. If you are having a cell, and surrounding to the cell you are having a cellular fluids, and these particular cellular fluids are best conductors of electrical energy. Okay, so what happens initially, all the Kl and K plus and Cl minus ions will move inside of the cell because your semi-permeable membrane allows them. Okay, but N plus ions will not move inside and they will get accumulated outside your cell membrane. Okay, because of this, there is a charge distribution. There is outer positive charge outside and negative charge inside. So there is potential. It is acting as a small biological battery, right? So this is going to act as a small biological battery because outer is positive, inside is negative. So this is acting as a biological battery. Okay, so this at this condition there may be some potential there, right? Because outer positive, inside negative means there may be some electric potential there. Okay, that potential is known as your resting potential. Okay, so what will be your resting potential? What is the amplitude? Okay, whenever you are considering an signal, so you have to consider its amplitude, right? So what will be its amplitude? Okay, so whenever you are going to calculate electric potential here, okay, just wait. Okay, so positive is outside and negative is inside. So you have to calculate the voltage. So you will come take the outer positive as your reference. So when compared to outer positive, you are having negative inside. So the overall voltage or the potential that you are having at the time is will be over 90 millivolts. So try to remember this. Okay, it may come in your objective questions. So you may have the potential as 90 millivolts. Okay, and what this 90 millivolts is called? This is called as resting potential. Okay, this voltage is known as your resting potential because at this time the cell is rested, there is no excitation happened. So initially when the cell is in rest position, so the cell is going to have a potential and that potential is your resting potential and the amplitude will be your 90 millivolts. Okay, and then what happens whenever the cell is excited, like if you want to move your muscle, okay, so what happens, your muscle will get a stimulus, right? It will get a stimulus. So whenever you are going to give some excitation to that cell, what happens? Whenever you are going to give the excitation, so outer, what happens? The outer, there may be some chemical reaction there, and because of the chemical reaction, the outer layer, which is positive, will get negative when compared to inside negative. Okay, so it will get more. That means what happens? Depolarization will start occurring. Okay, so initially I had said that there is polarization happen, and because of that polarization, you are having 90 millivolts voltage. Okay, but what happens next? Whenever you are going to have the excitation, whenever the cell will get excited, what happens? Depolarization process will get started. Okay, so what happens in the depolarization? So because of the chemical reactions, so the potential is going to increase 90 millivolts, right? So this is going to increase and it is going to reach plus 20 millivolts. Okay, initially it is minus 90 millivolts. Now this potential is going to reach plus 20 millivolts. Okay, whenever this potential is going to reach the plus 20 millivolts, so this is known as active potential. Okay, this is known as your resting potential, which will be there at the time when the cell is in rest position, and whenever you are going to excite this cell, what happens? This potential will reach to plus 20 millivolts. That means the inner, that means the outer, which is positive at that time, will become negative, and which will become in such a way that the outer negative is more, that means it will get more negative when compared to the inner potential. Okay, because I have already said that initial that whenever you are going to measure the potential, you will take the outer voltage as your reference voltage and you will compare the inner voltage with the outer voltage, and then you are going to have the potential there. Okay, so whenever the excitation happens, this outer, which is having which is at more potential when compared to inner, it will get reduced, it will reduce in such a way that this potential is very less when compared to inside potential. Whenever you are going to measure the electric potential there, you are going to get the electric potential as plus 20 millivolts. Okay, and this particular plus 20 millivolts electric potential is called as your active potential. Okay, 90 minus 90 millivolts will be your resting potential and this will be your active potential. Okay, सो यहाँ तक समझ में आया? कोई डाउट है यहाँ? किसी को कोई डाउट? If anyone having any doubt here?
हेलो सर।
हाँ हाँ।
सर वो जो 90 मिली वोल्ट बताया और उसके बाद 20 मिली वोल्ट जो डीपोलराइजेशन के बाद, तो
हम्म।
वो सर फिक्स होता है या उसका कोई रेंज होता है मतलब?
नहीं, नॉर्मली क्या होता है, अगर आप इफ यू आर हैविंग द सेलुलर, ओके, if you are measuring the cell potential, so during the resting stage it will be minus 90 millivolts, and it will, whenever it gets completely excited, so it will get plus 20 millivolts. So during the excitation process, that means whenever it is transforming from the, whenever it is getting polarized from deep, whenever it is getting depolarized, so the voltage will start from minus 90 millivolts and it will reach the plus 20 millivolts. So वो range होता है, लेकिन when it is completely rest position, it will be minus 90, and when it is completely excited, it will be plus 20 millivolts. So it may vary between this, but ultimately it may reach minus 20 millivolts or it may come to minus 90 millivolts. Sorry, it may reach minus 20 millivolts or it may come to minus 90 millivolts. Okay, समझ में आया?
यस सर, ओके।
So अभी आप कर्व देखेंगे तो आपको समझ में आ जाएगा, ठीक है? So this is the cellular potential wave. Okay, this wave represents the cellular potential for you. Okay, so 1 minute. So let us consider we are having a cell here. Okay, and the cell is in rest position. Okay, so the voltage here will be 90 millivolts. Okay, so because at the rest time the rest potential will be 90 millivolts. So now it is getting a stimulus. Okay, it is getting a stimulus. Like let us consider your muscle cell. It is your muscle cell. So now your brain has given a signal to your muscle to move. Whenever the muscles get excited, then only it will get contrast or expand. It will only get contrast. Okay, whenever it get contrast, your joints will get closed. Okay, so your brain has given the signal. So the stimulus has reached your muscle cell. Okay, I'm talking about the muscle cell. Okay, so the stimulus that the brain is giving to the nerve should be, it should be greater than some voltage. Then only your cell, which is at minus 90 millivolts, will start depolarization. Okay, if the stimulus that is given by your brain is less than that particular voltage, then the cell is not going to get depolarized. It will be polarized and it will stay at minus 19 millivolts. Okay, so this curve represents you the how the waveform will get varied. Okay, so initially this is the polarized cell resting potential, that is minus 90 millivolts, and then what happens? Let us consider a stimulus has occurred, and this stimulus should be between 90 to minus 60 millivolts. Okay, the stimulus that the brain is going to give to the muscle, it should be between this range. Okay, if the stimulus is great, that is it is less than minus 60 millivolts, that is it is minus 70, minus 80, then it is not going to depolarize the cell there. Okay, so let us consider the stimulus of minus 60 volts has occurred. So at that time, whenever it gets a stimulus of minus 60 millivolts, your cell starts depolarizing. Okay, so what happens? The voltage will increase, will increase, will increase, will increase, will increase. It will become 0 millivolts. Okay, when after that it will increase up to plus 20 millivolts. So the complete this between stage, this is known as depolarization. Okay, that means from minus 90 millivolts to minus to plus 20 millivolts, the complete part of this wave is known as your depolarization process. So the time taken to for the cell to reach the potential of plus 20 millivolts from minus 90 millivolts, this is known as your depolarization time. Okay, and remember one thing: once your cell, let us consider the brain has given the signal to your muscle cell, so muscle cell starts depolarizing, depolarizing. It reaches plus 20 millivolts. Okay, so it will not stay there at plus 20 millivolts because it is an unstable. Okay, it is not be stable. Whenever you are giving a stimulus, so your voltage will reach plus 20 millivolts, and it will stay at plus 20. It will not stay at plus 20 millivolts. So whenever you remove the stimulus there, okay, whenever, because the muscle is not going to give stimulus continuously. Whenever the stimulus is removed, immediately the immediately again repolarization will occur, again the voltage will get decrease, and again it reaches to the resting potential, that is minus 90 millivolts. Okay, so the plus 20 millivolts, which is an active potential, it will be present at the cell only up to which time the stimulus has been given to the cell. once the stimulus is released, that means once the excitation potential is removed from there, immediately it starts depolarizing and it will reach your resting potential. Okay, that is the reason why normally when if you start the biomechanics subject, the sir also used it to say that our muscles are only capable of contrasting, so there is no phenomena of expansion in the muscles. So बहुत लोग गलती से बोल देते हो कि muscle expands, muscle contracts. Remember one thing, the muscle will only contrast, it never get expand. Okay, because the muscle have an elastic property. Okay, whenever it gets a stimulus, it will contrast, it will close your joint. Okay, but when you remove the stimulus, it will reach your original shape, original position. The muscle will reach its position. It not get expand. There is no word like expansion in the muscles, and that happens because of the phenomena. Okay, because the cells will not stay at active potential. Whenever the stimulus is removed, it will reach your it will reach your resting potential, and because it's reaching your resting potential, the muscles will go to its normal shape. Because whenever it's contrast, the shape will get reduced, the length will reduce, and whenever the stimulus removed, the potential will get repolarized and it will reach towards the normal range. Okay, so this is what happens here. Okay, so this is your waveform. Okay, this is your complete type. No, this is your typical cell potential waveform. Okay, so have you understood this? What happens with the cell? समझ में आया? If you have any doubts,
Yes,
you
sir.
can ask.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is your typical cell potential waveform. Okay, and this is one of the this is the various stages how the cell is going to reach the active potential and again coming back to the rest potential. Okay, so let us consider here. Okay, so this is your initial cell. Okay, that is this is your polarized cell. Okay, that is it is in rest position. So it is having a potential of minus 90 millivolts at this time. Okay, and then what happens? Stimulation occurs. So first what happens? Some part of your cell will start the polarizing, depolarizing. So what happens? The I have represented here as a negative outside and positive inside. So that means the outer potential will get less when compared to inner one. So some part of your cell will get uh, excited, and then this is an excitation process. And after some time, this excitation will happen in the complete cell. So you can see here, if you compare the top cell, which is an rest potential. So outermost state is having plus, and inside you are having negative. And after that, it is slowly changing its state. And here you can see that completely depolarized cell. So in a completely depolarized cell, you can see here outer is having negative and inside is having positive. That means the outer potential has been reduced very less when compared to the inner potential. Okay, and it will stay here for only few seconds till the stimulus is applied. Once the stimulus is removed, it will start repolarizing again. It will reach its repolarization state. As the polarization occurs, first some part will get excited and the slowly complete cell will get excited. Similarly, some part will get unexcited and it will and then it will reach complete repolarization. Okay, so whenever polarization occurs, it will reach the rest potential, that is minus 90 millivolts. And whenever the depolarization occurs, it will reach. That means you are having depolarization and repolarization. Okay, initially the cell will be at rest potential, that is minus 90 millivolts, and then depolarization occurs and it will reach plus 20 millivolts, that is active potential. Again, if depolarization occurs, and that means here this is the depolarization state and this is repolarization state. During depolarization, the cell will start from resting potential to active potential, and during repolarization, it will start from active potential to back to resting potential. Okay, so this is about your origin of the bioelectric signal. Okay, and what happens? Your body is having not only we are not having a single cell, right? You are having number of cells in your body, right? And each and every cell is having the cellular fluid between them. Okay, so if potential happens in what cell? So through this cellular fluid, it will reach the other cell, and other cell will get excited, and then from other cell, through the cellular fluid, it will reach the other cell. In this way, a complete group of cells will get excited. Okay, so that is the reason why whenever you are going to capture the electric activity, like whenever you are going to capture the electrical activity using the EEG, EMG, or ECG, so you are going to place two electrodes. one will be placed at one part, other will be placed at other part. So one part will is going to be excited, so the group of cells at that part will have some potential, and other part of the body, there's like the cells are excited in other way, so the those are having other potential. So the changing potential will be read by your EEG or EMG or ECG machine. Okay. So still know what I had explained to you. It is for only one cell, but the body is not going to have one cell, right? It is going to have multiple cells. So this potential will transfer from one cell to other, one cell to other because of the cellular fluid present between them. So a group of cells will be at one place, group of cells will get excited, and other they may not be excited. Whenever you are going to place electrodes at two different places on a body, so you are going to get the potential difference there, because this at that place the group of cells may be excited, and other place where you have placed electrodes the group of cells are not excited. So you are going to get the electric potential difference there, and this potential difference will serve as a measurement purpose, or it will act as a measurement for your uh, recording or capturing the signals. Okay, it may act as measurement in EEG, EMG और ECG. Okay, so यहाँ तक समझ में आया आपको?
Yes, sir.
So वही ये बहुत आसान है, सिर्फ आपको एक्टिव पोटेंशियल और रेस्टिंग पोटेंशियल याद रखना है. You have to remember what is active and what is resting potential. Okay, so remember resting potential will be minus 90 millivolts and active potential will be plus 20 millivolts. Okay, the cell will get reach 90 plus 20 millivolts only when it starts depolarization, and depolarization occurs because of a stimulus given to the cell. Okay, and it will reach plus 20 millivolts, and it will not stay at plus 20 millivolts. Whenever the stimulus is removed, it will again repolarize and reach the resting potential. Okay, if you want to reach the active potential, that means from resting potential, if you want to reach the active potential, a depolarization should happen. And if from active potential, if we want if it want to reach the resting potential, repolarization should happen. Okay, and this happens at one cell, and you are having many cells in your body, so all the this potential at one cell will transfer to other cell through the cellular fluids, and this is the reason why you are going to get the two different potentials at two different parts, and you are placing electrodes at two different parts, and then you are capturing the electrical difference there, and you are using this as a input signal for your measuring instrument. Okay, so this is about the bioelectrical signal origin. Okay, so let us see what are the bioelectrical signals, because the next part that you are going to cover in your medical instrumentation subject or course will going to have all these things. Okay, so let us see the first one. Okay, so the first one here you are having will be ECG, electrocardiograph. Okay, this is going to capture the electrical activity that is going to happen in your heart. Cardiac means your heart. Okay, so if you are capturing the electrical activity in your heart, then it is called as an electrocardiograph. Okay, so it is a bioelectric signal. Okay, and the voltage range or the amplitude range that is going to have will be signal amplitude will be between 0.1 to 5 microvolts. Okay, and the frequency range will be 0.05 to H. Okay, and if in your ECG, which type of electrodes you use, you will use the skin electrodes. Okay, you will get all these things in the whenever you are going to study the ECG. Okay, try to remember this. Okay, what is the amplitude range and what is the frequency range? Okay, so for the ECG, that means if you are calculating the electrical activity at the heart. Okay, so the amplitude range will be zero point 0.1 to 5 microvolts, and the frequency range will be 0.05 to 120 Hz. Okay, and coming on to the EEG, electroencephalograph. Okay, so coming on to the EEG, so in the EEG, the frequency range will be between 0.1 to 100 Hz, and then signal amplitude will be between 2 to 200 microvolts. Okay, and the type of electrodes that we are going to use here will be scalp. And coming on to the EMG, that means the electrical activity that is happening in the muscle. Okay, EEG will be at your brain, that means in the nerve cells. If you want to capture the electrical activity at your nerve cells, then you are going to do the EEG. And if you want to capture the electrical activity in your muscles, then you are going to do the electromyograph. Okay, so the frequency range of the EMG will be 5 to 2000 Hz, and the signal amplitude will be zero point 0.1 to 5 microvolts. Okay, and you are going to use needle electrodes, but in the lab you are not going to use needle electrodes, you are going to use pre-gelled electrodes. Okay, So, and then ERG, that it is going to have a range of DC to 28. DC means 0 to 28, and the amplitude range will be zero point 0.5 microvolts to 1 microvolt. Okay, coming on to the EVOG, you are going to have frequency range of 0 to 100, and the amplitude range will be 10 to 3500 microvolts. Okay, so these are the different bioelectric signals: ECG, EMG, EEG, ERG, and EOG. And majorly in the biomedical instrumentation course, you are going to cover these three things: ECG, that means electrocardiograph; EMG, electromyograph; and EEG, electroencephalograph. Okay, so you are going to cover these three topics. Also, try to remember the frequency range and the signal amplitude of these three measurement modalities. Okay, so have you understood still now? अभी और किसी को कुछ doubt है? To anyone having any doubt?